Hi everyone, my name is Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to share with you how to create this peach of a card, and you can see what it looks like here, nice and close. We're using the peach. This is from the stamp set called Silhouettes and Script. It's one of our host rewards sets, or our new Stampin' Rewards I guess they call it. And I love these images. They're so much fun to color with markers, and then you can spritz it with water for a little bit of a watercolored look, or you can just stamp it directly onto your paper, which is what I did with the peach. So let's get started. I'll show you how to recreate this card. So we are going to use some Mossy Meadow cardstock. I've cut it at 4 1/4 by 11 inches and scored it at 5 1/2. And the next thing we're going to do is just fold this towards the mountain. Then we are going to bring the bone folder here and give it a nice little crease on the back, and then our card will lie flat for us while we work with it. We're going to go ahead and put the inside panel on first. The inside panel is a piece of Very Vanilla. It's cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and then we are just going to use a little bit of snail on the back side here to put it into our card. So I'm going to open this up, and we're just going to set that right in. You'll notice that I have a strip of Designer Series paper on the inside panel as well. That will help coordinate with the outside of the card. The designer paper, as I mentioned, is the Farmer's Market Designer Series paper, and it looks like this. And it does have Very Vanilla as one of its base colors, and I just really like it. There's some pears and artichokes, and then these are the coordinating papers that you can buy in a pack to match the Designer Series paper. So I will put that aside and we will go on with the card. So that was a 1/2 inch strip by 5 inches, and then just adhere to the bottom. And for the outside of the card, we're going to put down the base first. And I have a piece of old olive paper here. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And what we're going to do is run it through the Big Shot machine with our brick embossing folder. So when you open it up, you get this lovely brick image, just like a nice brick wall in the garden. And then we're going to grab a little scrap paper, and we are going to do a little sponging. Now I did make a card earlier without the sponging, and I just want to show you the difference. Here's a card with the sponging, and you can see how it really shows off these lines in between the bricks. And then here's the first card I made, and I was experimenting with different ribbon types, and I did not sponge the background, and you can see it has a little bit of a different look. It's not a bad card, it's just a little bit of a different look, but I decided I like the sponging better, so that's what we're going to do. I have some Mossy Meadow ink, and my sponge is ready to go. So I'm just using a wedge of one of our Stampin' sponges, and then I'm just going to start by just lightly rubbing it over the top of these bricks. And there's no real science to this. I'm just going back and forth, and it is done. That's all you have to do, and your sponging is complete. And we can go ahead and take this panel now, and we'll just put that right down on our card, because there's nothing we need to wrap around here, no ribbon wraps, so we're ready to go. So I'm just going to use a little bit of a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue all the way around this card. Then we can wiggle it into place so that all of the edges are nice and even. Alright, so we're going to set that aside because we're going to work with some panels next. I have some of the Farmer's Market Designer Series paper cut at 1 1/2 by 3 1/4. And we're going to take that and we're going to glue that onto a piece of craft paper that's cut at 1 3/4 by 3 1/2. So 1/4 inch larger. And we'll just use some snail on the back of this. And I could have used multi-purpose liquid glue. It's just that I have the snail here, I might as well use it. Alright, so there it is. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually glue down this next layer. This is a 1 7/8 by 3 5/8 piece of our Calypso coral paper. And I can just go ahead, and this time I will use glue because there's so much texture on the back, on the front of this card, that I want to make sure this will stay in place. So I know where to put this because I want to make sure that all three of these bottom areas are equal. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to decorate this with some Calypso coral thick baker's twine. We're just going to loop it around the back here. So I'm going to start on this right side, and I am just going to use a piece of tape and tape that first loop, or that first starting piece down. And then we can make a loop, and I like to do this from the front so I can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to take some tape and get that to stabilize here. So we'll just tape that down, then we'll do another loop and make sure that's nice and right where we want it. And you can see there it is. It looks nice and even, so we're going to tape that one down. So you end up with quite a few pieces of tape on the back here, but that's okay. And then we can go ahead and we'll do our third loop. Probably can see it just as well from the back. And we'll tape that loop down. There we go. Let's make sure this looks good from the front. And if it doesn't, you can always pull a loop in. Just reach in there and pull it up, and I think that looks good. So then I can go ahead and I'll just trim this off. And we're ready to put this onto the front of our card. So I'm going to do that with dimensionals. And I'm using 4 dimensionals here. And we're just going to flip that over and put this right over that Calypso coral piece, like so. And now we're ready to go ahead and stamp our peach. So we're going to set this aside. I have a piece of scrap Very Vanilla paper. I have my peach mounted on a clear block, and then I've got my markers from my Many Marvelous Markers set. I'm going to be using Rose Red, Calypso Coral, and Old Olive. So I think I'll first go ahead and I'll color the peach entirely with the Calypso Coral. And with that colored in, I'll go in with our Old Olive, and we'll just color in the leaf and the stem. And then once that's done, we'll grab the Rose Red, and right over here where the sentiment starts, we're just going to make a nice little streak of Rose Red, kind of giving it a little bit of a summer blush. Then what I like to do is, making sure this is nice and moist, I'll give it a bit of a huff, and then I'll just go ahead and stamp it right onto my scrap. Perfect. There's a nice close-up for you. Then we'll just take a 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and we will punch out that image. So now we're going to layer that up. I have a 2-inch circle punch out of our Calypso Coral, and then using our circle framelits in the Big Shot machine, I used the 4th largest circle and a piece of craft scrap, and I went ahead and made a circle that was just slightly larger than the Calypso Coral. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue on the back, and then I'm going to set this onto the Calypso Coral so that it covers up the bottom part of the Calypso Coral, but leaves a little bit of Calypso Coral through the top area. Then we can go ahead and we'll tape on the peach, and we'll put the peach so that it's even up here with the craft layer, so all you can see is the Calypso Coral at the top. So you can see that the Calypso Coral shows at the top, and then we have the craft showing at the bottom. Now we can go ahead and add dimensionals. So I'm going to add 1 dimensional to the bottom because that is going to go onto the panel that we've started. And then, because there's already dimensionals on this panel, I'm going to add 2 dimensionals in a row here, right on top of each other for the top part of our peach so that it won't be wobbly. And then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to set this in right like this so that it's nice and even on our card. And our card is complete. So here's the card I've done for you. Here is the card I had done in advance. And I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you're having a great summer day. You can visit my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com if you'd like more information on how to order Stampin' Up! Products, or if you need a demonstrator, I'd be very happy to be yours. You can also find lots of tutorials there. I truly appreciate you. Bye-bye.